I think the announcement was exciting because Tesla indicated they're running their own Bitcoin nodes, and I think that contributes to the security of the network.
Right.
And generally, most Bitcoin mining is done off of SHA-256 ASICs, which are pretty special purpose devices. Right. Tesla's an innovative company, so anything's possible, but I think the primary news here is Tesla's running Bitcoin nodes, Tesla's accepting Bitcoin, and Tesla's hodling Bitcoin for the long term.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at other companies that could make this kind of shift, especially in the transaction side of things, because that's been kind of the knock on Bitcoin for a lot of people, is that can I use it to start to buy things? If someone like an Amazon were to actually move in this direction, do you think Amazon would be another player that would go in this direction? And if so, what kind of implications do you think that would set?
Well, I think taking payment in Bitcoin for big ticket items makes more sense than small ticket items. But I really don't think that Bitcoin needs to be the day-to-day transaction mechanism. And so I think that's an old antiquated idea. I think generally, if you want to buy things that are between $2 and a few $1,000s, people will generally pay for them in dollars and euros on conventional currency rails like MasterCard and Visa. The critical thing that's going on here, which is a million times more important than anything else, is you pay me in anything, I convert it to Bitcoin and I hold it. If I convert $1 million into Bitcoin and I hold it for a decade, it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. So $1 million might be worth $100 million to the shareholders. Mm-hmm. That's the critical thing. So what's going to really have an impact on the marketplace is as companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google, Apple, start to buy Bitcoin or hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets. That'll be good for their shareholders. That'll be good for Bitcoin, right? That will drive the industry forward. It doesn't need to be the day-to-day medium of exchange. It is in some cases. I mean, look, in a country where MasterCard and Visa don't function and the currency's collapsed, then you're going to use some kind of payment rail, probably a stable coin on the Lightning Network backed by Bitcoin. But in countries where euros and dollars function properly on MasterCard and Visa and normal payment networks, then the really critical thing here is for companies to start to convert their treasuries to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin as a treasury asset is yielding 200% more than the next best idea.
For sure. When you look at the companies, I'm going to give you a list of them here. If you were trying to predict which one might make the next big move in terms of converting treasury. But if you look at companies like Microsoft, obviously they've got a lot of retail products. They're a little bit higher in price. I'm selling computers. Potentially I take Bitcoin in for all my Surface products. A company like Apple, obviously that's kind of a no-brainer, I would think. And then you get into, we had kind of mentioned Amazon, but maybe even down into the microcurrencies where Starbucks might fall, which is a lot more daily transactions, but because their consumer base is so digital and forward thinking, that might be a potential play for that every day, especially in the app. Any of those companies kind of think, hey, there might be one here?
I think that Bitcoin's the most disruptive technology of our lifetime, because you're in essence watching the digital transformation of assets from analog assets that are inflating to a deflationary digital asset. For sure. Every single company with a lot of money could do it. The ones most likely to do it are the ones with CEOs and shareholders that are very digital friendly. Yeah. They understand digital transformation. So the Googles, the Facebooks, the Apples, the Amazons, the Microsofts, they understand digital transformation, and so they get it. They will be much more likely to get it sooner. But the other part of this is that there's a P&L strategy. If you're a company that's doing fintech like Square or PayPal, you're in essence selling a mobile payment application. When you bolt on Bitcoin to it, you basically bolt on a savings account that yields 200% tax-free interest.
Yeah.
So the real competitive dynamic here is if Square is going to offer you a 200% savings account, PayPal's got to follow. And if PayPal's going to do it, then Apple Pay and Facebook and Google and Amazon, they stare at it. It makes a lot of sense for any fintech company that has a mobile communications app or a mobile payment app to plug into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the king of the digital assets. And what you're doing is you're turbocharging your product offering, which means that if I've got the mobile payment application plugged into Bitcoin, I'm going to get millions of new customers a month, potentially. And we've seen that. We saw with Robinhood, we see with Square, we see with PayPal. There are literally millions of customers and billions of dollars of capital that's moving to the companies that support the new digital monetary network. So I think that you ought to look toward the digital mobile companies that either have an operating system or a device or a digital payment network, because they're the ones that have the most to gain. They're the ones that have the most to lose, and they're the ones that are most sensitive with the shareholders that are looking for them to be leaders in this space.